Welcome to Cooking with Bubbles. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Rodney. Let's get started.
All right. Get these bubbles open.
6 turns. Ooh.
Yeah. There we go.
Easy, 45 degrees. All right,
I
cool.
love that.
Ooh, love the steam that comes off of that when it's first opened.
Yeah, it's nice. Getting this all filled up.
Ooh. I'm over anxious. Can you tell? I can't wait to get this in my belly.
Putting a little bit of cranberry in there. That'll be nice.
Yes.
Little
Look
taste.
at me all fancy.
Ooh, you are.
That's not enough bubbles.
There's more where that came from.
Definitely. Oh, I gotta get my stopper. Forgot my stopper.
I'm ready to sip my bubbles.
Oh, here we go. Cheers.
All right. Clink.
Clink. Well, we're back doing what we love doing, and that's cooking while drinking Prosecco. So we invite you to pour your own glass of bubbles and enjoy the show. We have something special today.
That's great. So you know what, Rodney? I'm happy that we're getting to do this one more time. We're both in our own kitchens. Most people are spending a lot more time at home these days, and normally we'd be cooking together, but we're in our own kitchen under these circumstances, and we're gonna make some yummy stuff. So what's on our menu today?
So today we're making a recipe called smoked Gouda quesadilla. I think it's actually smoked Gouda and caramelized onion quesadilla. So it's got a really long title. Yeah. I mean, what's not to like about smoked Gouda and caramelized onions? It's a couple of my favorite ingredients. And today, I mentioned we have something special going on. Our friend Julie is going to be joining us as a guest chef.
All right, let me get her brought in.
Let's get her brought in here.
Okay. It's not changing. Pause. Okay. Welcome, Julie. Welcome to Cooking with Bubbles.
Thank you, Lisa,
drink bubbles.
Oh,
let's have a toast together. Cheers.
Cheers.
Clink. Clink.
It's even better with more friends.
Yummy.
Well, thank you so much for having me with you today. I'm very excited. I love your show. I love everything that you've made, and I'm looking forward to getting to boss you around a little bit as we do this recipe.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So Julie shared her recipe with us in advance, and as I mentioned, it includes some of my favorite ingredients: Gouda cheese, smoked Gouda cheese, and caramelized onions. So Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about this recipe and where you got it?
So we were with some friends up north, actually over in Pine Top, and a friend of mine who is an amazing chef made this recipe, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing because, I mean, we all are from Arizona, and so you have quesadillas all the time here, but this is special because it has ingredients you would never think of that turn into a quesadilla. I love cooking. I got that from my mom, and I think she would actually really like this too. So in addition to having smoked Gouda, which is very important, caramelized onion, it also has prosciutto. And so it's just makes a really delicious combination that I would hope that you're really going to love.
Oh, sounds amazing.
Well, I've done some prep with my ingredients. And so Julie, you're going to walk us through. So let me get this situated so that you can start telling me what to do and bossing me around. I've done some prep, so my onions are chopped and I'm ready to roll. So what do we do first?
Well, yes, your sliced onions, the first thing you need to do is heat up some butter in your pan. And so when you're ready to put it in, then you're going to add the onion slices. And it's very important to have your slices be as thin as possible. By the way, you can use whatever kind of onion you like, yellow, purple. I like sweet onions, and it takes either two, like a large yellow or a purple onion, or two smaller sweet onions.
Awesome.
So just once the butter is pretty much covering the pan and melting really well, then you can pour the slices on top of that.
Right. Well, I have an induction cooktop here, and it usually heats up pretty quickly. So we're going to see some sizzle here in just a second. So kitchen safety tip, Julie mentioned the importance of having your onion sliced really thin. So it's really important to make sure that you're being really careful with your knife. If you're using a knife, keep your fingers tips curled under so that you're not under the blade of your knife, or use a mandolin slicer, which is a little safer, and make sure you have that safety guard in place when you're using that mandolin slicer. Food safety and kitchen safety is really, really important.
It is, and you might want to wear some safety goggles because, especially when you're using a mandolin slicer, it will make a lot of onion juice. So
Awesome.
be careful with that as well. That looks great, Rodney. You can probably go ahead and add those onions.
So let's we can only see you, Julie, but let's drink to food safety and kitchen safety.
Absolutely.
I'll drink to that.
Yep. All right. So I don't think I'm going to put all these onions in because my onions turned out to be a lot more than I thought they would be.
Let me tell you that it seems like it's a lot, but you're going to need way more than that. I can guarantee you.
You think? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm just going to go for it.
They become nothing when they're caramelized. So no matter how much you think you have that looks too much, it's not too much. My pan that was bigger than that was completely full, and it came down to basically the amount that you want, which is about a cup of caramelized onions.
Okay.
So now you can start to sprinkle your brown sugar and your vinegar on top.
Okay. And how much brown sugar are we using?
It's about a tablespoon. I tend to sprinkle it on with my fingers out of a.
So not like that.
But that's okay, because the bottom line is to get all the onions coated with all the ingredients. And so however you can accomplish that by just stirring them together, the onions will start to soften up pretty quickly. So it's not that hard. And I also, whenever I'm using something that has sweet in it, I like to add a little bit of salt. That's a trick my mom always taught me.
Oh my goodness. The secret ingredient is salt.
Ingredient, yes.
I'm just going to put a little pinch of salt in here.
Because as I've learned, unless you're baking something and you have to have very precise directions, you can kind of wing it when it comes to a good recipe.
Okay. A little pinchy pinch of salt.
There you go.
Oh, wow. These are starting to caramelize nicely.
Yes, they do. And the brown sugar, once you start getting that all mixed together with the brown sugar, they turn slightly brown, which is what you want.
All right. Welcome back. Look how nice these caramelized onions look. And it took about 25 minutes or so. So it's not a fast process, but it requires patience, and they look really delicious.
They do. So now that we've finished caramelizing our onions, all we have to do next is assemble our tortilla, right? And let's
what we need
bubbles.
to do next is have a drink.
Okay, well, that. Lots of stirring to caramelize those onions.
And they look fantastic.
Yeah, they do.
We are now
Julie,
ready.
you did a nice job of bossing us around.
Oh, good.
I'm going to just turn this around real quick.
I'm a professional.
Professional bosser.
Yeah. So you're going to want to have your prep area ready with your, like you have laid out right there, your cheese and your onions and your prosciutto. And it's good, Lisa, that you pre-tore yours because it is a sticky, gooey thing to try to tear prosciutto.
Yeah.
So the first thing you're going to do is, if you're doing the folded tortilla method, which Lisa, you are, put cheese.
I'm going to fold mine.
You're going to put cheese on half of the tortilla and be generous. Don't be skimpy.
Okay.
Make sure all the edges are
amazing.
covered and you've got plenty on there.
Okay.
And then you're going to layer your onions on top of that.
Ooh.
And you can decide if you like a thinner layer or a thicker layer. And in this family, we like them thick.
Yes.
That's what she said.
Sorry. You guys are doing that perfect. And Rodney, are you doing the full tortilla?
I am. I'm going to do full.
So just a tip here, if you're going to use 2 tortillas, which you totally can, I have done that, You want to have a smaller tortilla because flipping an entire round tortilla with stuff in it can
Oh,
create
yeah.
mess. So just be aware,
Yeah,
but
and-
it's a great way to do it as well. It looks pretty, if nothing else.
Yeah, and just to note, your recipe, which, recipe is a guideline,
Right.
calls for 10-inch tortillas, and I'm actually using 8-inch tortillas because that's what I had.
And
So am
certainly,
I.
if you make a big one, that's fine. Again, it's just the challenge to flip. So, and then you're going to put
I have a secret. I have a secret for that. We're going to show our audience here in a moment.
oh my.
So I'm going to fold mine in half now.
And so you
I
put your,
think I'm ready to put it in the
One-
pan.
you put your
I'm way
prosciutto on
behind.
the inside on top of the onions?
Yep.
Okay.
So my pan's got a little bit of butter in it already, so I can just melt that or heat that up.
There you go. Don't let it
These
get
caramelized onions smell delicious, I will tell you.
well, they look fantastic. You did a great job.
So just to share with our audience, one of the things we learned during the caramelized process is it's okay to put more sugar in. So if you don't feel like they're getting brown enough or they're sweet enough, we ended up putting a little bit more sugar in than we originally had planned to based on what the recipe called for. So that's okay. It's okay to improvise and be brave and make your recipe better.
And the other thing is that you can fry it in the pan with whatever kind of oil you like. I don't recommend olive oil, but certainly, vegetable oil would be great. However, because everything's better with butter, that's what we use.
Butter's
Yes.
better. Okay, you got yours in, Lisa?
I do. Mine's in the pan.
All right, mine's about to go in. I want to get this butter a little bit more warm. Okay, got some sizzle going on. So I'm using a bigger pan than I used for my onions so that I can show you my flip method, which hopefully won't be a disaster.
Okay.
And because I'm using 2 tortillas, I'm going to put my second tortilla on top right away. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more cheese too, so it'll create a little bit of more of a glue.
That doesn't hurt. And you have your prosciutto on there too, right?
Prosciutto's on.
Okay.
There's no such thing as too much cheese.
Correct.
And in preparation for flipping, I'm just going to brush some butter on top to make sure that I can flip this and it'll still have oil once I flip it.
You want your tortillas to get brown, but unlike the ones I made last night, you don't want them to get too brown. So.
Okay.
All right.
So we just pick them up and take a peek underneath and see how they're doing.
Yes, just keep an eye on them. It takes a little while, as you know, and once you see
Yep.
that the cheese is melting, that's always a good hint.
So Lisa, what setting is your oven on? Mine's on, or your stove? 7 or
300.
8 or 9? 300? Okay.
It looks, yeah, it's on 300.
So level 9 for us is 300. Okay, I just turned mine up. Perfect. So we're going to let that cook for a few minutes, and then we'll be back to show you the flip process.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back. Well, our tortillas are nice and brown on the other side, so now I'm going to flip mine. And one method you could do is to actually lift it up, take your pan and put it on top and flip, and then put it against the pan and flip it. My pan has way too much oil in for me to do that, so I'm just going to carefully flip it with 2 flippers. Ooh, that worked really nicely.
That was
That was
fantastic.
great.
You did a great job.
Got a little bit brown on top or on the bottom, but that's okay.
Just flip it over.
Well, while that's browning, why don't I go ahead and get started with my plate? Because I think I'm going to use, because of the ingredients, I'm going to use a little fig spread. So I think fig spread with caramelized onions and Gouda are going to be delicious together.
And it really,
And I'm going to use,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
since this isn't a
spread?
traditional quesadilla, I'm going to use some homemade peach freezer jam that I made last summer with peaches.
Those are
Yum.
both fantastic.
I may have to come over there and get some of that. Just saying.
I'll help you make more room in your refrigerator.
Yeah, there you go.
I like them plain as well. They don't really need anything, but certainly some sort of sweet chutney or a mango salsa or whatever like you guys are doing would also be.
Yeah. Well, mine is finished, so I'm ready to plate. I'm going to just slide it off here onto my cutting board. It's nice and brown on both sides. Looks good.
Perfect.
Mine is almost there too.
Just a helpful, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, if you're making this for a cocktail party, you can put your oven on the lowest possible temperature and put these onto a cookie sheet, and so that they stay warm in the oven while you're finishing them all up.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
So I'm actually going to use a pizza cutter to cut mine into triangles.
I use my chef's weapon.
Oh my goodness, this smells so good.
Doesn't it?
Ooh, well, let's have a couple of bubbles before we taste these.
Oh, yes, please.
Perfect. Cheers.
Ooh,
Spin that in.
cheers.
Looks really pretty. I'm going to probably spill it on the floor if I'm not careful.
Awesome. Here's what mine looks like with a little bit of peach salsa on the side.
Yum.
Now, I'm going to take a picture of mine because I like the
Oh,
way
me
food
too.
looks when it's all prettied up.
Yes.
It's going to work a little bit more on my plating technique.
Yeah. That's another episode.
Yes.
But let me just show you what
Yay.
it looks like.
Here comes
That
the big taste.
Yummy.
Here's what mine looks like. Just gonna dip it in that delicious peach.
I'm going to scoop a little bit of fig jam on mine.
Oh my goodness.
Mmm.
Wow.
Hey, it's fair. I don't have. Should have heated mine up that I had left over from last night.
Oh my goodness.
That
That is
is
so
such a
delicious.
You guys did
Wonderful
fantastic.
combination of flavors. I love it.
Mm.
I must be a
Wow,
really
I have
good
one more,
You did well.
one more bite.
Wow, what a great easy recipe. It's like a flavor explosion in my mouth between the smoky of the Gouda, the salty of the prosciutto, the sweetness of the side, the crunchiness of the tortilla. Oh my goodness, what a combination.
Wonderful.
How'd you like
Well,
it?
I'll drink bubbles to that. Thanks, Julie.
Amen.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, we'd like to thank our very special guest chef, Julie, for joining us and for our virtual
Yes.
audience today. Thank you all so much for watching Cooking with Bubbles. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/cookingwithbubbles.
And if you have any suggestions on items that we should cook on Cooking with Bubbles, please send them to our email at cookingwithbubbles@yahoo.com. And if you have photos of anything that you've taken you've made of ours, send it to our email as well. We'd love to see it. Well, that takes care of it for today. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Rodney. See you next time.
Bye.